Today, we're talking about a technology that could give every single student their own personal, always on guide. Seriously, it might just change how we learn forever. So, we're going to break down how it works, what the real risks are, and what this all means for the future of the classroom.
So let me ask you something. Think back to a class you really, really struggled with. We've all been there, right? Now, what if you had a personal guide available anytime, day or night, who knew exactly where you were getting stuck and how to get you unstuck? Well, that idea, it's not science fiction anymore. It's becoming a reality. And it's called an AI tutor.
So, what is an AI tutor really? In this first part, we're going to define what we mean by this ultimate personal tutor and, what makes it so different from anything we've ever had in education before.
For like centuries, education has pretty much been a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. You know the setup. One teacher, 30 kids, everybody moves at the same speed. But we all know that's not how learning works. We all learn differently. And this is where AI promises a massive shift, away from that standardized classroom and towards a learning journey that is built just for you.
Okay, it's super important to get this. An AI tutor is not just some fancy search engine or a digital textbook. It's an adaptive system. That means it's actually learning how you learn. It figures out your knowledge gaps and it adjusts the difficulty right then and there. The whole point is to keep you in that sweet spot, where you're being challenged but not totally overwhelmed. And maybe the two most powerful parts are speed and access. I mean, imagine you're stuck on a math problem at 11 o'clock at night. Instead of just giving up, you get immediate step-by-step feedback showing you exactly where you went wrong. That 24/7 access, that right there is a total game changer.
Look, this all sounds amazing. I get it. But with any powerful new tech, there are always two sides to the coin. So in our next section, let's look at both the incredible promise and the potential peril of this AI tutor revolution.
First, let's talk about the promise. Because the early data on how well these things work is, well, it's pretty stunning. So let's actually dig into what the research is showing us. First thing, engagement. It turns out when learning is actually personalized, students are way more locked in. Who knew? Studies are showing a 25% jump in student engagement. That's measured by things like how long they stick with the problem and if they're actually participating. That is a huge leap in focus. Okay, but does all that focus actually lead to better grades? Well, the data says yes, it does. We're seeing an average improvement of 18% in test scores. And that really shows you the power of targeting a student's specific weak spots instead of just going over stuff they already get. And last but not least, what about just sticking with it? Learning can be super frustrating, right? This kind of personalized support helps students get over those hurdles that might normally make them quit. And the result? A whopping 30% reduction in dropout rates in some courses. I mean, that's a massive, massive impact. All right, those numbers are hard to argue with, but this is where the story gets a lot more complicated. We have to start asking the tough questions about the potential downsides here. And these risks are no joke. First, data privacy. These systems are collecting tons of data on how a student learns. So, where is all that data going? How is it being protected? Then you've got algorithmic bias. What if an AI trained on flawed data starts reinforcing harmful stereotypes about who's good at science or math? Then there's the risk of over-reliance. Students losing their critical thinking skills because the AI just makes it too easy. And maybe the biggest one of all, what happens to that vital human connection in education when a mentor gets replaced by a screen? Yeah, those are not small problems. So how are the people building these things trying to solve them? In this next section, we're going to take a peek inside the AI's brain to see the architecture that's being used to try and make these tutors safer and more reliable. The key to making these systems both safe and effective really comes down to how they're built. It's not magic, not at all. It's a very specific design, built from the ground up to be trustworthy. So at the heart of a lot of these tutors is something called retrieval augmented generation, or just RAG for short. The best way to picture it is a three-step process. First, the query. You ask a question. Then, an AI that acts like a librarian goes into a curated, pre-approved library of facts and pulls out only the relevant stuff. Finally, a second AI, let's call it the professor, takes that verified info and creates a perfect custom answer just for you. Now, this is such a critical design choice. It means the AI isn't allowed to just invent an answer out of thin air. It's forced to base its response only on that trusted library of facts. This grounding dramatically reduces the risk of what we call hallucinations, when an AI confidently just makes something up that's completely false.
And on top of that, developers build in what they call guardrails. You can honestly think of these as the AI's conscience or its ethical compass. They're basically layers of rules designed to filter for bias, protect your privacy, and block inappropriate stuff, acting as a safety net for the whole system.
But look, a great tutor does way more than just spit facts at you. The best teachers, they know how to guide you to find the answer yourself. And the most advanced AI tutors are now being programmed to do exactly that. And this right here highlights a much, much smarter approach. Instead of just handing you the solution on a silver platter, the AI can be programmed to use the Socratic method. It'll ask you a series of guiding questions, forcing you to think critically, connect the dots, and arrive at the answer on your own. The goal isn't just memorization, it's to build real, lasting understanding. So, with this incredibly powerful technology now in our hands, what does it all mean for the future of education? In our final section, let's look at how learning itself is being totally reimagined. This chart really gets to the core of it all. AI tutors, they are unbelievable at processing data, personalizing content, and being there 24/7. But human teachers, they excel at empathy, mentorship, and teaching those crucial soft skills like collaboration and resilience. The strengths are different, but they're also perfectly complementary. So the big takeaway here isn't that AI is coming to replace human teachers. Not at all. It's that AI can become an incredibly powerful tool for teachers. It can handle all the personalized practice and content, which frees up the human educator to focus on what they do best, inspire, mentor, and connect with their students. And that leaves us with this final, really thought-provoking question. If AI starts to handle more and more of the what of learning, the facts, the figures, the formulas, what does that mean for the role of the human teacher? Maybe their job becomes less about just transferring information and more about cultivating wisdom. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.